Who joins you at the end of your hardest battle? Who shows up after the world's already laughed, doubted, and dismissed you? Watch closely. Because this story might just change the way you see strength and kindness forever. Everyone stared when she wheeled into the lobby. Not because it was a wheelchair, that wasn't new to them. But because of how she looked in it. Shoulders straight. Eyes unwavering. Lips sealed in quiet determination. Her name tag read, Maya Thompson. And they'd all read her file already. 25. Degree in marketing. No formal job experience. And a recent injury that left her in a chair. She was the last candidate of the day. The receptionist had smiled kindly. But behind that desk, Maya saw the exchanged glances. The whispers. The subtle tilts of heads that said, "Why is she even here?" And when she wheeled into the interview room, for executives on one side of a long table, she caught it too. A smirk. A cough that was more chuckle than cold. One of them didn't even bother to hide it. But Maya just smiled. 2 years earlier, Maya had stood at the edge of a diving board at her university pool. Laughing. Tall, athletic, confident. A national-level swimmer with Olympic dreams. She was everything people envied, and nothing like what she'd become. The accident happened hours later. A drunk driver. A shattered spine. Weeks in ICU. Months in rehab. Pain. Grief. Rage. And then, silence. The kind of silence where friends stop visiting. Texts stop coming. Invitations vanish. People don't know what to say, so they say nothing. But her mom stayed. Always. Sitting by her bed every morning with a tray, oatmeal and orange juice, whether Maya wanted it or not. "Your body may not move, Maya," she'd whisper, "but your mind, your spirit? They're Olympic level. Let's train that." By the time Maya left the hospital, she was different. Scarred. Not just physically, but emotionally. She knew that some people wouldn't see past the chair. She knew others would pity her. And worst of all, she knew some would laugh. So, she started preparing, not for the job, but for them. She studied harder than she'd ever studied for any swim meet. Marketing, analytics, business psychology, pitching techniques. She practiced speaking to an empty room until her voice was full of calm authority. She wrote down questions and crafted answers with brutal honesty and hope. Not the shallow, sugar-coated kind, real hope. The kind you earn through hell. Back in the interview room, the panel asked the typical questions. Tell us about a time you failed. What's your biggest weakness? Why should we hire you over someone who can keep up with the physical demands? The last one stung. Maya paused. Smiled. And told them the story of the hospital, the training, the silence. She told them how she turned her grief into discipline, how she studied business models during physio, how she built a brand online from her hospital bed and grew it to 10,000 followers without ever leaving the room. "I may not walk into every room," she said, "but I arrive stronger than most." Still, they weren't convinced. She saw it in their eyes. And then came the final moment. One of the executives, a woman named Rachel, leaned in. Her tone was sharp but curious. "Let me ask you something off the record. Why show up at all? Why not wait a little longer, recover more, come back, walking?" The room fell quiet. Even the smirkers stopped. Maya didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked down. Then, she placed both hands on the wheels, locked the brakes, and slowly began to rise. The metal frame creaked. Her arms trembled. But inch by inch, Maya stood. Her legs, unsteady, bore her weight for the first time publicly in months. Gasps echoed. The receptionist peeked in, wide-eyed. Rachel stood too, reaching out, ready to help, but Maya gently shook her head. I came today, Maya said, her voice shaking only slightly, because this chair is not my weakness. It's my witness. Of everything I've fought through to stand here. And whether I sit or stand in this room has nothing to do with what I can do for your company. But everything to do with what I can do when someone gives me a chance. No one laughed then. Not a sound. Rachel blinked, her own eyes glassy. She slowly returned to her seat, nodding faintly. The room shifted. Something in the air cracked open, respect. 2 weeks later, Maya received the call. You didn't just get the job, Rachel told her, you redefined the job. We want you to lead our new campaign, Resilience in Action. It's not just a slogan anymore, it's you. Maya cried that night. Not because she'd finally been seen. But because she didn't give up before she could be. And here's where the story circles back to you. Who joins you at the end of your hardest battle? Sometimes, it's someone unexpected, a kind interviewer, a quiet believer, a stranger who decides to see you. But most times, it's you. You, choosing to show up even when the room laughs. You, standing, if not on your legs, then in your truth. You, proving that strength isn't always loud or perfect, but it's always real. Let Maya's story remind you. You don't need permission to rise. You just need courage to roll in, stay grounded, and wait for your moment to stand. Glowing star.